Welcome everyone to the Thursday, May 9th edition of the Vancouver Power BI and Modern Excel User Group Meetup. Today we've got Tom Hinkle, who's going to be giving us an epic Minesweeper adventure in a bit. But before we do that, let me just kick off with the normal standard that we do with thanking sponsors and all that kind of stuff. First off, big thank you to the sponsor SkillWave. This is the training company that I run with Matt Allington, where we teach you how to be better with Excel and Power BI, Power Query, Power Pivot, and all other kinds of awesome things around business intelligence. If you're looking for high quality training, you should definitely check us out. Excel Guru is the parent company of SkillWave and also the distributor of my Monkey Tools add-in that will help you build better data models faster and overall just be more efficient with Excel. Our next meetups that we have coming up, our next Excel track will be on Thursday, June 6th. This will be an early start for us. We're going to be 10 a.m. Pacific time. We've got Jakob Nilsson, who is going to be joining us to talk about how to speed up your Excel filters with his custom list slicer that he has built. So that should be pretty cool to see. And actually, just to sort of call out on this one for those who've been here before, looking at some of the Office.js things with questions around it, Jakob's filter or list slicer is built in Office.js. So it's a good opportunity to start asking some questions around how did you actually put this together? What are the some of the challenges along the way and things like that. Our next Power BI track in a couple of weeks, we're going to be welcoming Michael Alofusi back to the program. This again is going to be at 5 p.m. Pacific time, normal time, and we're going to be looking at Power BI Git integration, a live demo on those topics. So both of those should be fantastic. So don't forget to sign up now. As far as what's new in Monkey Tools for right now, I don't have a lot of new features to talk about, but we did start publishing a new Using Monkey Tools video series. This is something that I've been asked about a lot over the past couple of years. So we finally got around to doing this. We're releasing a new video every day right now on the SkillWave YouTube channel, where you can learn to boost your productivity with this software. Some of the featured episodes that we have, I think there's about 15 episodes up now. But if you want to go and take a little look at the table arrange monkey, how that can make your life more efficient, rename table monkey, saving yourself from that hassle when you rename a table and it breaks your Power Queries, pretty awesome feature. And then biblio monkey, which helps everybody in this, building formulas, queries, measures, all kinds of cool things. You can reuse your logic. So some pretty awesome stuff there. You can find the full playlist at this short URL here, which is included in the deck that's been posted to the Meetup site. And of course, if you're looking for a copy of Monkey Tools, you can download a pro trial or a purchase version at monkeytools.ca. My next semester of my Excel Fundamentals Bootcamp kicks off on June 12th. If you're looking for a good program here to help people learn the fundamentals or fill in knowledge gaps along the way for your formulas, learning pivot tables, data visualization skills, and basic Power Query, this is a fantastic program for this. It's 30 hours of training and coaching. You get access to Ken's Ask Ken Anything sessions, which happen every 2 weeks, plus the full archive of forum or full archive of recordings and discussion forum access. This is an ideal program for people who really want to make sure that they're not missing any gap or they're trying to fill in any gaps in their knowledge and learn the required pivot table skills to take you on to advanced analytics. So you can learn about that at the link below. Also, my next semester of my self-service BI Academy kicks off on June 12th as well. And this is sort of the next level program here. We talk about Excel, Power Query, Power BI, pulling all of these things together to build really comprehensive models. And this is a huge program, 40 hours of training and coaching, 46 hours, if you like, of the Ask Ken sessions. You get access to my books, you get access to my Power Query recipes, and a subscription to my Monkey Tools Pro software as well. There is no better way to get access to me than through this particular program here. So if you're interested, you should definitely check that out as well. This meetup, along with all of our meetups, will be recorded and posted on our SkillWave YouTube channel. Just be aware that this one will be posted sometime late next week because I'm actually traveling right now and don't have access to my computer to do the full-on post-processing and recording I need to do. So it will be up in about a week, but until then, hopefully we can tie you over with what we have here live today. We also have some Monkey Shorts videos that we release on the SkillWave YouTube channel. So these are just general tips around working with Excel, 3 minutes of technical content or less. How to use Excel where the Power Query editor is open. this is something you can't do, so we show you how. And then dynamic expand collapse messages in Excel. I love this. This is a fantastic thing for modeling. I was actually just watching a LinkedIn discussion the other day where somebody was saying, don't ever hide cells in Excel. And I'm going, that's totally not good advice at all. This allows you to do your hiding, but still leaves traces behind so people can tell things are hidden and expand, collapse them, and dynamically. So check that out. It's about 3 minutes of your time. A really, really useful tip there. And you can find all of these at the Monkey Shorts playlist on the SkillWave YouTube channel. The last thing that I'm going to say before I hand the stage over to Tom here is if you'd like to get involved with the Vancouver Power BI and Modern Excel user group, if you'd like to come and speak to us, we would love to have you. Fill out this form here. We'll get in touch and we'll make sure that we get you on our stage. And that is what I have for my sponsor deck for today. So thanks everyone for listening. And at this point in time, I'm going to turn it over to Tom to talk about Minesweeper and Excel.
All right. Thank you, Ken. That's a good introduction there. And hello, everybody. I'm really excited to be here tonight. And I hope we're going to do some really, really interesting and cool stuff with this. So I've been using Excel and Microsoft tools for over 20 years, a little bit over 20 years. Big VBA guy. And I'm really getting intrigued by this AI stuff. And so I just wanted to talk about this project for a minute and how it came about. And then we'll get into actually what we're going to do is we're going to build this game in this session if everything goes as planned, which we all know it doesn't always. So a couple months ago, I was thinking about that Minesweeper game, and I'm going to share my screen here. So I was thinking about the old Minesweeper game from the old versions of Windows, and here's one on minesweeperonline.com to just give everybody a reminder. And this game is kind of a logic game where you click and then every number shows you.
Hey, Tom, I'm not seeing your screen yet.
Oh, not seeing my screen?
Nope.
It says it's sharing. Seeing it now?
I am not, no.
All right, here's our first snafu for tonight.
Go ask ChatGPT how to use Teams.
Right. It's giving me this red. When I click to share, it's giving me a red icon on there. Interesting.
And this is weird because you are promoted as a presenter here, so you shouldn't be having any issue there. Yeah, so what is with that? We always love Teams when it works.
And I'm on here, it says presenting.
Strange. I'm going to share my screen again just quickly. And so I've got the red border around mine. So that would have probably knocked you off of yours.
Okay.
Let me stop sharing now. So why don't you try it again and see if it goes now?
No.
This is weird. Hey Joseph, I can see a note that it says you're typing. If you've got any advice, please feel free to unmute and just yell it out, man.
I was just going to say, your screen share worked. That was all. No advice, okay, unfortunately.
Well, that's positive and all, but I'd really rather that Tom's was working.
Yes, quite.
Hey, I was thinking whether you are using 2 monitors.
I've got 3.
Okay, if you're then maybe you're not sharing the correct one. So are you primary monitor or whichever you are trying to share?
It keeps giving me a red icon when I go to sharing.
Are you trying to share screen or window?
I started with screen, and then I tried window too.
Screen would be the one that I would go with for sure. Excuse me. The only other thing I can think of, the Control Alt Delete of Teams, is leave the meeting and come back again and see if it plays nice for the second time.
All right, I was about to say that too. Let me do that real quick. I'll be back on in a second.
Enough. All right, sounds good. Excuse me, and I'm going to try not to cough and choke in everybody's ears as we're going through this. But this is always the fun part of the presentation here, is trying to get this part hooked up. So, all right. Oh, hey, Tom, I think we got something happening here. Yep, I can see a screen now. Now, can I hear you, though? Hang on a second.
Now you can hear me.
Now I can hear you. Perfect. Okay. And I even see Minesweeper. Yes. All right.
So if any of you remember this game, I wasted a lot of hours playing this. And so, you know, when you get the numbers here, it's kind of it's a logic puzzle. It shows you how many mines are touching that number. This is 1. Everything else is uncovered. So if I right click on it, I can flag it as a bomb. And then, you know, you keep going like this. And if you get a bomb, then the game's over if you touch 1. And the object is to uncover everything. So I was going to do this on my own, just to kind of brush up on some VBA and have some interesting things. But I'm going to show my my PowerPoint here too. But before I started doing it, I said, let me see if I can do this in ChatGPT. And so when working with ChatGPT, we're going to look at this. It's a really amazing tool, guys. And I think that this is something it's paradigm shifting, almost like going to mobile. Like, it's going to really change the way people do things. But you still have to approach it with a grain of salt. And one of the things I'm going to say is, you know, I had the idea to do Minesweeper, and then I still had to kind of create the workflow or how to do this in my mind. And so here were my kind of steps that I did. Is I wanted to create the gaming framework of how to put this in Excel. Then I needed something to set up the bombs and where they're going to go on the sheet. Then something to go set all the numbers. And then I had to set up something when I right click, it can cycle through that flag icon or a bomb or whatever. And then a routine to uncover a cell. Like if I click on a tile, you know, if that's a number, show the number. If it's nothing, it'll expand it out. If it's a bomb, the game's over. And then the last routine was just to check the game status, because again, the way you win this game is you have to have marked every bomb and uncovered every other cell. So once I had these, ChatGPT built this game for me with 6 prompts. That's it. And that's what I'm going to show you tonight. And this workbook is also going to be available through Ken for you guys to play with too. So let me pause there for a second, see if anybody has any questions before I bounce over to chat and to the Excel.
Don't see any yet, no.
Okay. So let me bring up Excel, and here's a finished, polished version of the game that we're going to build tonight. Click on New Game, and see, expands it out like that. I can tag these bombs. I can play the game, and if I wasn't on the clock, I would keep playing this for another half hour because I love this game. And then it tells you how many bombs are there. If I hit a bomb, game over. And I can just click on a new game there. So that's what we're going to build here tonight with ChatGPT. And again, keep it in mind, you have to have that frame. I'd had that framework up first. So let me get to the one I want to work with. So this is the one that's going to be available to you guys. It's not quite as polished at the end, but we're going to work on building it up. So one of the things I want to tell you guys before we get started, kind of an idea of how I did this, because that's important too. Like I said, what ChatGPT will do for us is it will do all the grunt work and the busy work, but you still have to have the idea and the vision. And when I was thinking about Minesweeper, what I thought about is you basically have to build the game board where all the bombs are first. So if you notice, I've got two tabs here, Minesweeper and Minesweeper Hidden. And hidden is where it draws out the field of mines. Everything that's an M is a mine. And I'll explain that in a minute. And then here's all the numbers where, you know, this one is touching 2 mines, this one's touching 1, et cetera, et cetera. And then the Minesweeper tab is where the game is actually played. So I think we should just go ahead and get started and see what happens. So I'm going to hit Alt F11 and go to my VBA code. So the other thing that you're going to get if you download this workbook is in mod main, I have this as a working version. All the code is here and all of this code works. So if something goes drastically wrong tonight, we'll just use this code and look at it a little bit more. But what we're going to do is build out each of these routines in each of these modules, if that makes sense. The other thing, again, I had to do a few modifications, but I'm telling you, like ChatGPT did 95% of this coding and did it all for me. So another thing that I had to do is make just a main routine at the top, and that will cycle through a couple of the routines that I need to run the game. Set up Minesweeper game, plant bombs, and count bombs. Okay, so let's get to it. I'm going to go over to create a framework. And I've got the prompts in here that we used. Let me see if I can make this a little bigger. Does anybody know a keyboard shortcut to make this VBA text bigger? Off the top of their head. That's a little better. That work for you guys a little better? Okay. So with ChatGPT, you're just going to send it over what you want it to do. So my first one was set up a game, and it's doing everything. So this is going to, I'm telling you, this is what I'm going to feed into chat. Search the workbook for 2 worksheets, Minesweeper and Minesweeper Hidden. If they don't exist, create them. And I purposely tried to, where I could, be non-technical with chat to see what it would do. So instead of telling it, create a worksheet, name it Minesweeper, I just said create them to see how much it would interpret what I'm doing. And then on each worksheet, set up a 15 by 15 named range of cells. Start the range on D10. On the Minesweeper tab, the range name should be range Minesweeper. And on Minesweeper Hidden, the name should be, any guesses? Range Minesweeper Hidden. The cells in each range should be sized so they appear as squares. This was a really cool thing. And this is when I went back and saw it. You know, we've all had to deal with sizing Excel with columns and rows. So I was like, why don't I just let chat write code to do that? And it's so easy. So I didn't have to go and manually resize my game grid. It just did it for me. All values should be cleared from range Minesweeper. The cell background should be colored gray, the border's black, and the font for every cell is Aptos Narrow, because I'm really leaning into this new font. It's my favorite one. Okay, so let me copy this, and we'll go to ChatGPT, and I'm going to show you a couple things about chat too that I learned about this. I'm going to go to a new chat. And this is something that I didn't know. I'm using the absolute freest version of chat just because I wanted to see what its potential was. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to just copy in that code. Now I just wrote it when I was working on this, and I'm copying it in just because of expediency. Get those comments out before I copy next time. And go ahead and click send message. And here it goes. It writes the code. And a couple of things that I love about this, it's very well formatted code. It has comments in there if you see. There's really nothing in here that I couldn't do myself, but it just does it so much faster and make sure to tidy things up. I mean, look at the last part. Clear values from range Minesweeper and set the cell background to gray, font to Aptos. So then it's very clear with range Minesweeper, clear contents, make the color gray, give it the font name, change the colors, and same thing with the Minesweeper hidden tab. So from there, I can just copy the code. I can go over to my creative framework, paste it in, and set up Minesweeper worksheets. Now, this is the first thing. So now let me go back to my main routine, and I'm going to comment out all of the working code so that we're just going to work off the new code that we make. So set up Minesweeper game, set up Minesweeper worksheets. Here's the thing about working with chat, because this AI, it goes out and pulls the internet for stuff that's out there. So I sent the same code in a few days ago and it gave me a different subroutine name. So those are the little nuances you got to keep in mind. Like you can send the same prompt in, a couple different times and it may give you a different strategy based on what it does. But most of them, when I did this work, they just do things a little differently. So I have to give this to my mod main over here. And before I do that, let me just go ahead and really test it here. I'm going to delete these worksheets so that we have no worksheets here. And I'll go back and run that routine now, run mod main. And this is what I did. Before I went and tweaked it, I would always run the routine first to see if it worked. There you go, Minesweeper hidden and Minesweeper. I created the tabs, created the grid. I've got my range name set up for me. Awesome. Like that's, take out my talking, that's 3 minutes of work. And this time it didn't really do a good job of resizing the cells. So I'm not going to focus on that tonight. Again, some of the tweaks we want to do, but that's more cosmetic than logical. And I want to keep with some of the logical challenges we had a little bit more, spend time on those. So that's it. That's step one. So now let's go to step two, plant the bombs. And this one was really easy. Randomly place 25 capital M's in Minesweeper. Ensure that none are placed on top of each other. So when I first just said randomly place them in Minesweeper, it would place them, but sometimes I would get 20 bombs, sometimes I get 23. So I had to go back and modify that prompt so that it would make sure they weren't placed on top of each other. And I'm going to show you something neat you can do with this as I do this one. So I'm going to go to here. I'm just going to do randomly place 25 capital M's in Minesweeper hidden. So I'll go to my next ChatGPT, and that's what I'm saying. Randomly place 25 capital M's in range Minesweeper hidden. And it goes and writes all this code. Now this one is not checking to see if it's overwriting another M. So I wanted to do that on purpose because I want to show you guys, at least I didn't know this up front, but before, you might write another prompt to do something else. You can go back to a previous prompt and edit that prompt. So if I come back here, where is it where I can just edit that one again? Huh, maybe they changed that. Maybe they made a liar out of me. Yeah, there was something there. Okay. So if I find that, I will update that again. But now, so I will go back and just put this back in. Hopefully that is our only snafu for tonight. Oh, there it is. I just didn't see where it was. Okay. So here it is. It's back on the actual prompt. When I asked it for the prompt, it's the pencil here that will let you actually update that prompt and then just save and resubmit that same prompt. But it was on mine right there. Okay, so now I've got that second one to place an M everywhere. And comment out the prompt here. Run that. And now Minesweeper Hidden has the M's all over there. Anybody have any thoughts or questions or observations so far?
I don't see any questions in the chat at this point.
Okay. So okay, I'll let you let me know. I'm gonna stop. I'll stop pretty much at every prompt and let us do that. Okay,
You
so
did
now,
get a heart in the feedback though, so for what it's worth.
Yay, we like those. Okay, so the next thing I need to do, again, to build this game, I feel like I need to build the whole grid so that every cell shows how many mines are touching it. So the next routine is the count bombs routine. And again, this one's pretty simple too. The next two are kind of complicated, but this is for each cell in Minesweeper Hidden where there is not a bomb, which is a capital M, count the number of cells surrounding the target cell that have an M in them. Put this total in the cell. If there are none, populate with a 0. That's pretty straightforward. So I'll pop back over to chat. Run that. And one of the things that blows me away about this is the way the chat works and a lot of these AIs work is they're scouring the internet for code samples to put together. So, we've got 30 years of VBA out there in the internet that it's pulling from to create this code. That's another little thing that's kind of interesting. So this is one again. I before I started fixing these, I went ahead and just tried the code. So I'm going to copy this code, put it right here, and I will run it, and you can watch these numbers populate. Boom. There's one next to that. Who next to that one? Okay, something's wrong here. And I know basically what this is because I worked with this before. This has to do with the ranges that it looked at. Set reference to the Minesweeper hidden worksheet. So this one is not pulling back the exact right range to look at. Let me go see if I can fix this quickly. Minesweeper hidden. I fixed this in the other one, so let me see what I did here. And if this doesn't work, I am going to just use the one that did work. And we'll come back to this if we get time. There we go. So, so that one had to tweak a little bit, but now it's working, just showing there's 2 bombs touching this one, there's 1 touching this one. It was, like I said, when I worked with this earlier, it was something about the way it was referencing the ranges that it was not liking. So I had to tinker with that a little bit, but most of it is the exact same. So I'm gonna leave that one uncovered. And since this one didn't work exactly right, I will just comment that out. Okay, any questions on this?
There was one question about if it was definition of neighbors, but
Okay. So let me look at that. So I didn't define the neighbors. I said adjacent. I did say in the prompt that just count the number of cells surrounding the target that have an M in them, just to see what it would do. Now I'm going to go to the one that works, and it actually went down here, and it said for each adjacent cell in cells, like I said, this was when it was kind of trying to get the right range, start from the one you're on. It looked at the row index -1 to the column index -1. So that's kind of the upper left cell. And then it just came back with a 3x3 grid. If the cell has a value in it, if the adjacent cell has value M, then increment the count, and then keep going through those 9. And then once you get the count, it'll put that number into the cell that you're on. And again, I think for most of us, you've done VBA. If you look in here, we're setting some ranges. We're doing a for loop. We're doing, some if things to see here. We're trying to figure out what makes up the adjacent cells. Even though chat came back with some errors in the range it defined, it would have taken me a lot longer to generate this code than it would have just doing by chat and fixing what was broken. But this, it came up with this all by itself by just saying, count the number of surrounding of cells surrounding the target cell that have an M in them. And it created this right here to look at row index -1, column index -1, and resize it to be 3,3. So whoever asked that, that's the part that blows me away, is that it figures out stuff like that with some pretty easy English. Any other questions?
Not at this point, no. Quick comment from Joseph. Minor point on prompt optimization. Generally, ChatGPT performs better with positive than negative definitions, as opposed not a mine cell could change to empty cells. So, for what it's worth.
Not a mine cell. Oh, interesting. Or it's not a bomb. Okay. Yeah, I'm still learning this too, but I'm really excited about it.
Joseph also says that is not guaranteed, which is probably a fair comment.
Well, this is the thing, and I think this is the thing that's really scary. I work in the financial industry, and the old conservative banks are petrified of this, and this is what they're worried about. It's just going to take over, and this is where, Joseph, hopefully you'll give me a thumbs up on this, but using this as a tool to make things better and do things faster is great, but you still have to monitor it, and you still have to have some idea of what's going on and be able to kind of troubleshoot it if something doesn't work. But again, for this project anyway, like I said, I just ran the code first, and then if it didn't behave how I wanted it to is when I'd go debug it. So a couple of these just worked immediately without any changes. I did forget to do something on the routines that I just wrote. I've got to add those in to my sub main hook so I can start it. So I got to go to my count bombs routine again, or plant bombs first, randomly place mines, and put that in my main routine. And then the count was actually in the code that works. So if you guys get this workbook, you'll get my full code that works, so you can compare what you experiment with code that works and maybe find it easier that way. So what this is doing is this is kind of what I'm going to run to reset a game at the end of it too. It'll just reset the Minesweeper worksheets, put the bombs in. So now here's where I start to get a little tricky. This next prompt is going to be tricky. Uncover cells. So this is what this one is if I double click on one of these cells on the Minesweeper tab, it has to come back and show me a number or a blank if it's a 0 or show a bomb. Okay. So this one was tricky, but again, it just, it does it. So I had to write the rules a little bit more in depth. So in this routine, we're going to accept a passed in range object, a cell to uncover, because I'm going to tie this to a worksheet event of somebody double clicking on that cell. This is what gets me too, because remember in that first routine, I colored the cells gray. So again, I was just trying to test the limits here. I said, instead of getting all fancy with numbers, let me see if I can just describe it like a person. If the background of that cell is gray and the cell is in the range we define for our grid, then continue to uncover. Otherwise, it's going to pop out of the routine. So to uncover, copy the corresponding value from the range Minesweeper hidden to the target cell. So I'm telling it to go look at the same cell on the hidden tab and put that in my Minesweeper tab. That so far, so good. If that target cell is a bomb, M, then the game is over. Copy all cells from range Minesweeper to hidden to range Minesweeper. If the target is a number and greater than 0, change the background to white. And then if the target is 0, do the following 3 things. This is the trickiest one here. Change the background color to white, clear the contents from that cell, and call uncover cells routine for every adjacent cell on that gray background. Okay, so let me see. Did I take my Minesweeper down? No. So let me show you how what I mean by here. So this is the tricky part. If I double click on a cell, and it's not coming up. Great. It never happens. So here, this is the tricky part. Anything that's a 0 means no mines are touching it. So what I had to do is basically have it do a recursive thing, saying if it's 0, if there's nothing touching it, then you have to go run that uncover routine on every cell touching that one. And then when it does that, it goes up here. And then if that's 0, it has to run that on every cell touching that one. And if that seems complicated, this is how I wrote it for the prompt. Call uncover cells routine for every adjacent cell that has a gray background. So the colors had something to do with it too. I had to make sure the background was white. So if I've already uncovered it, it won't go try to check it and uncover it again. But then it just goes back and it basically does a recursive routine there. So this one may not work either, but let's give it a try, because this is the one that had the little tweaking because it's more complex. I didn't delete that one. And make sure I have it here before I do that. Uncover cells routines. Okay. So let's go put that prompt in. And see what chat gives us back. Look how fast that comes back. It's crazy. And it's kind of interesting because I've gone through this a few times. It's given me different strategies on how to handle that kind of recursive section. So Before in that other one, when you had like the 9x9 grid, it did the reset range to 3x3, and now it's just setting up 2 for loops. For I equals -1 to 1, that's going to set the cells all around the one you're on, and then J is going to be the rows, and then skip the current cell. So if not I equals 0 and J equals 0, then check if the adjacent cell is within the range. So it's checking the range and then basically doing everything I told it to. And let's see how well this works without tweaking. And right here, so if I've gone through and everything works, it's doing that last check. Call uncover cells routine recursively for adjacent cells that have a gray background. So if the color is gray, and this is the cool part, I said gray earlier when I was coloring them, and then I said gray down here, and it picks the same RGB values for both of those just by saying the word gray. So like I said, I really, even though this is my project, I got really excited about this because I hadn't seen, and this doesn't really have a lot of practical business application yet, but I liked it. Okay, so copy the code here. Let's go back, comment that out, and uncover cells routine. Now, the other thing I'm going to have to do here, and let me see if chat told me this. Okay, I didn't write this. I should have gone back and wrote it to say when you double click. So I'm going to have to add this to the double click event. Uncover cells routine. Because when I double click, I wanted to do that. So Control C, I'll go up here to my Minesweeper tab. For double click. Now, the other thing I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to cancel it. Because if I don't do that, if you guys are, I don't know how familiar you are with these event routines, but they fire, this one will fire before double click happens. And you can have it go do something, which I'm going to have it do the uncover cells routine. But this cancel parameter here, if you don't have any code in here, when you double click something, Excel does something. Double clicking a cell lets you edit the cell natively. So if I set the cancel parameter to true, it will stop that default action from happening. So when I set that to true, Excel won't go edit a cell when I double click on it. And that will enable me to call the routine I made. And then when you double click a cell, it gives you the target range. So I'm just going to pass that back to my uncover cells routine. And we're really going to hope this works because this is the tricky one. We might have to spend a couple minutes on this one. So this one I don't have to run because it runs every time I double click. So let's go to my Minesweeper tab, and I want to make sure I don't click on a mine first. So I'll start in the upper left-hand corner. Boom. It worked. First try. How amazing is that? Like it uncovered everything where it wasn't touching a bomb. And I don't have the cycle through yet, but all right. So that was great. I expected to have to spend 5 or 10 minutes modifying that code, and I didn't. But if you look at this too, I'll show you that cancel parameter. So now on any cell on this Minesweeper tab, if I double click it, it doesn't go into editing that cell because I set the cancel property to true. But that was kind of, if I didn't do that, it was monkeying with calling my own routine. All right, so we're at the end of this prompt. Any questions or comments? I'll pause here for a second and pull that code back up to look at.
No questions or comments, just a bunch of reactions and applause when that actually worked there for you the first time. Well done.
And being honest, when I first did this the first night, it probably took me 3 or 4 hours to get done. And this one was the one I had to mess around with a bit. All right, well, thank you guys for the applause and the clapping. So the next one is I want to do the bomb hints. And that's where you right click and get a bomb or a flag or a blank. So let's go to that one. This one's again a little easier. Does anybody have any idea why I made the bombs M? I'm not gonna stop till somebody gives me at least one guess. Yeah, somebody's got to give me one guess. Ken, I'll count you if you have one.
I got the same thought as Joseph. M for mine.
That actually was a nice byproduct. And it does work that way. But I went and did research. M is a bomb in the Wingdings font. So that's how I'm going to represent the bomb. Here's my prompt here. It's pretty simple. When I do a right click, if the target cell has a gray background, then do the following. If the value is blank, put a capital M in that cell and then make the font Wingdings. If the value is M, so if I right click again, I want to put a flag in there because a flag means I'm not sure if there's a bomb or not. There could be, or maybe there isn't. So if it's an M, then cycle through to the flag, which is a capital P, and make the font Wingdings. And after the flag, if I want to go back to normal, then just clear the contents and make the font Aptos narrow again. So I didn't let chat figure this out for me, the M and the P. I did that, I'll be honest, like on my own, because I knew that's what I wanted to do. But let's go write the code for that. Oops. Okay. This one's super straightforward. You know, if cell value is blank, then put a capital M and make font Wingdings. Target cell value equals M, font name equals Wingdings. If it's an M, then make it P in Wingdings, and if it's a P, then go to the others. So this one, I want to tie to the event. I want to tie to the event right click. So I'm going to see what it comes back with if I modify this. This is an unscripted activity right now, guys, so hopefully this is going to work. And then I modified this one too. So here it's still writing the uncover routine again. And then it gives me another routine that I can go paste in my before right click event. So if you're not really familiar with those, it'll help you write the code for those too. So this one, I don't have to copy all of this. I just have to copy this part. Call uncover cells routine target. I'll go put that in my before right click. Now on selection change, I'm going to go to before right click. And same thing here. When you right click on a cell, you get the shortcut menu. So I have to cancel. Otherwise, every time you right click on a cell, you're going to get that too. So now I've turned off the shortcut menu, and then I'll go do my call and uncovered cells routine. Copy this code. Oh, it's already there. They pasted it in there. Okay. All right. So again, that's not one I had to tie there. So let me see how this works. If I want to put a bomb icon here, right click it. No. Oh, what happened there? Oh, no. Uncover cell. Ah, I called the wrong routine. Uncover cells routine. I was on the wrong one. Cycle bomb hits. That's what I want. I'm sorry, I did mess up, guys. Uncover cells routine. This made a mistake here. I shouldn't have called this uncover cells because this is the hint. So this is good. Got a little mistake here. So copy the code. And I don't have to change it here. I could, but I'll copy this. Then I'll go to my cycle bomb hits. And I'm just going to change that name. Cycle bomb hits. And then I'll go back and change my before right click. So it had just called it the same thing as it called this other one. So it made a mistake. Luckily, it wasn't too bad to fix. So let's go set up a new board. And actually, we're going to have to do this at some point anyway. So let me just go ahead and put this in here. To start a new game, I'm going to call public sub main. So what I'm going to do here is just give myself a little shape here. Where are my shapes? Find a macro main for the new game. And then actually I should have put this. Oh no, that's good. That's right. I put it on the right tab. So now if I click new game, it clears it out and sets up a new game. What happened here? I might have to use the uncover cells routine too. Something looks like it's squirrely with the iteration, but I want to be conscious of time here too. So it choked on when I found a bomb. I'm sorry, guys. But what we're going to do is I'm just going to comment this one out and use the one that was working. Uncover cells. Oh, no, it did say routine. Okay. Okay, there we go. What's going on? No. All right. Well, this is the first big snafu here. The 0 there. See if the numbers are still working. So we almost got there, guys. We almost got to the end. We only have a couple minutes left here, and I will stay and debug this a little bit. But I think the last thing, since this somehow has gotten a little messed up, and I'd have to go in and fix what it's just missing a little bit. I think I want to pause. I'm going to bring the other one up and talk about it a little bit. So may have any questions, or let's stop here and ask about questions or comments, especially since one broke here.
So first comment I'm going to give you on this one, Tom, is from Joseph. Said it's going remarkably well for ChatGPT generated code, and I mean I agree. You got a heck of a long way with this thing before something went wrong. And I mean honestly, this is my experience with code too. Is it works really well, and then suddenly you hit something, you're like, oh my god, now what? And you got to go back and try and figure it out. But that's all good. Aurora's question: using Wingdings fonts, cool idea. Did you have other ideas for mines and flags, images, or anything like that?
It did cross my mind, but the Wingdings went first because many years ago, I looked at Wingdings and I didn't understand what it meant until finally I realized I could put Wingdings characters into an if-then statement and have all kinds of different characters for indicators, kind of like conditional formatting. So Wingdings was kind of the first thing that came to my mind because a couple of years ago, I was like, why would somebody even make a font like that? But yeah, with images, I thought about that too. You could put images in a cell. So yeah, that's something you could absolutely do too. Any other questions or comments?
No, not at this point. I mean, the only comment I'll give you on this one, Tom, is just that, I mean, my perspective on ChatGPT when working with this thing is that it allows people who understand what they're doing to work much more quickly.
Yes, 100%.
However, the key is that you got to understand what you're doing, right? So, I mean, there's still no substitute for actually understanding and training on learning how to do these things to begin with, because you have to be able to look at stuff and go, wait a minute, that's not quite right, or how do I fix it? So,
yeah, and that's a big thing that I ran. That you're exactly right. When I went and looked at the code, there's nothing in the code it did that I couldn't have done myself. But I would have had to sit there and think about the logic, the routine of looking at how am I going to detect every adjacent cell and make sure it's not trying to go outside the boundaries of the range and stuff like that. It did all that stuff for me. But you're absolutely right, Ken. And this is why I think companies need to really understand. They need to embrace it, but understand it's just a tool to get faster. I've talked to people too who are skeptical and said, I many times in a resume or a cover letter in Word, I'll go use the synonyms in Word and pick a different, word to make it sound better. I don't see ChatGPT as any different than that. It's another tool to help us work more efficiently and faster and do a lot of this stuff. And to be honest, with 10 or 12 people watching me try to debug this code, it might take a little longer, but the code that it writes is so well structured, it's relatively easy to fix. Any other thoughts there, Ken?
Not at this point. I think we might have a couple others going to be submitted, but I'd say carry on for right now. We can always loop back on those.
Okay. When I send Ken over the file, I sent him one earlier. I'm going to double check that file I sent you and make sure, and I'm going to make sure that the code works when you guys open it up and run it. So you can look at working code. And then, like I said, all the prompts will be there too if you want to see them. But I wanted to show you one other thing that I didn't think we were going to get to. This doesn't affect game playability, but in the regular Minesweeper game, all the numbers have colors. So I wanted to do that too. And again, in the whole spirit of this exercise for me, I want to see ChatGPT do it. So this is, this is just conditional formatting 101, coloring these. But I had Chat do that. I had Chat write VBA code to set up the conditional formatting for those numbers. So instead of going in there and setting the conditional formatting myself, don't have the prompt for that one, but I basically went out and told it, hey, for the range Minesweeper hidden, if the value's 1, then color it royal blue. If it's 2, color it green. If it's 3, color it red. If it's 4, color it dark blue. So again, I could have done this conditional formatting manually by myself or wrote code to myself, but when I wrote the prompt for this, all I had to do was just say, in here, if the cell's 1, make it blue. If the cell's 2, make it red. If the cell's 3, make it green, and so on. So that's just, like we were talking about, you still have to have the idea and the vision, but this can really help get the work done so much faster. And I think I'm gonna close the formal part to try to keep us at an hour, Ken. That was my goal. I will stay online up to another half hour for anybody who has questions or wants to dig into this. And again, we'll have that workbook for all you guys to look at and play around with too. And one last request, if you get my email, if you guys come up with something cool with AI, please reach back out to me and show me, because I'm really excited about this tool. And I think that's be my formal.
All right. Well, thanks, Tom. I appreciate this. This was cool and really interesting to see. I mean, obviously a game that was quite iconic. It's funny, when this got announced, I got a message from one of my buddies who worked at Microsoft, and he said he actually knew the guy that wrote the original Minesweeper. And
Cool.
Apparently this guy is well known for telling people, look, I've built other stuff, which I thought was kind of funny. Just to, sort of say just how ubiquitous this app has sort of become for people. So yeah, that was really cool. And really interesting to see like how far and how fast you can get with when you're asking it the correct questions. And I guess probably the biggest thing that I take away from this, Tom, is really laying down, you got to think through the framework, right? I mean, once you've got that done so you can approach it in a measured way, obviously there's some skill that has to go into that kind of piece. But then the second part, of course, again, on the whole thing is you really have to have the background to be able to look at it and go, is it right? And if it isn't right, can I adjust my prompt or can I debug it along the way? So again, in the hands of people who understand what's going on, it's a very useful tool. So yeah, really cool stuff. Awesome. I don't know if there's any other questions here. I mean, the thanks and the useful, entertaining comments are coming in, so I think people appreciate it, which is great. If there's any other questions, by all means, feel free to fire them into the chat. And if anybody wants to chat with Tom, I'm by all means unmute and go ahead. Aurora asks, did you try to ask ChatGPT to make the whole game? Does it know about Minesweeper at all?
I did not, but I'm going to. Now that you said that, that's just taking it to the next level. One other thing is the first prompt I sent to this to write code, Chat came back with Python code, but I didn't specify VBA.
So I'm going to share with you something that as you were going through and doing this, I threw into ChatGPT. I was like, what games do I remember from years ago? I'm like, oh, I remember Zork. That was that text-based adventure game and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
And so I asked ChatGPT, can you create Zork in Excel? And it basically came back with, okay, well, look, this is what you need to do. You need to start by designing the game structure. You need to implement your text and commands. So it's basically giving me the layout of the things that I need to think through, but it certainly did not come back to that. Here's the code to just create the game, which I thought was interesting. So, so there you go. And Joseph says he tried playing Go in ChatGPT. There you go. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I'm curious. I'm gonna have to sit down and start thinking about some of the games we used to play and try and figure out whether what the structure is and how to put them together. Very interesting stuff.